Hey guys, it's Liv Sims here, and today I'm going to be showing you a build that I did on a 30 by 20 lot in Newcrest. This specific lot is named Hillside Highlands, and since there's nothing here, it's not technically a renovation. This is actually from reference of a photo that I found on Pinterest. I think it came out really well, although I would say that the reference photo only had the front covering of the house. It didn't have the back, it didn't have the layout, the interior, what the side looked like. So a lot of this is guessing. And I play around a lot with the roofing, and I had to edit a lot of it out because I was just like, it looks mid-century, but yet it looks modern and in a way also traditional. So what I ended up doing is I kind of ended up sticking with just kind of like a traditional facade of the house, and then once I went inside, I went very much more traditional. The family that I had in mind for this build would be a married couple who does flipping with houses, and so they buy like a somewhat decent house on a good piece of land, fix it up to their liking, and then move on to the next one. I would say that this house could probably house 4 to 5 Sims. 6 Sims I think would be a lot just because it is one bathroom. And it's all really on how you play. I created a master bedroom for this one, which also matches the interior of the house, and as well as a teenager's bedroom and a kid's bedroom. I almost imagine that the teenager's bedroom would be more or less like a preteen, but since we don't have that life stage yet in The Sims, I decided just to kind of give her some kid decorations in her room, but then also a little bit of more mature things comparative to the room next to her, which is her brother's. I created a family actually for this house, and you can actually download it on my Origin ID. Which is Liv Sim Builds, so it's the same as my Instagram account. It's pretty easy to find. You could also download this house. The family does have CC within the creation of them. The CC that I used is mostly skins, and although I can't find the link anymore for the skins, you could use any skins and they would be fine. It's not a very face altering skin, it's more or less just a smoother, so even if you just like the way that The Sims 4 has skin details, you could definitely do it that way too. And here I picked this TV to go on the wall. I end up sizing it up just because I like the visual appearance of it more or less comparative to when I'm actually playing. It looks really grainy and gross, but if you want to size it back down, if you're playing inside this house, it's completely understandable. It would make more sense. I just think I like it aesthetically for the way that the room flows. So I think it works this way too, but then it looks so tiny on this wall. So I think sizing it up makes a huge difference. And in this build, I don't actually show you guys the floor plan just because this video is running super long and I was trying to condense it as much as I could. And since in the last build I didn't show you guys the landscaping and I showed you the floor plan, I decided that this time I was going to do the reverse. So you see a little bit of the landscaping that I do, and it's pretty simple just because it is a 30 by 20 lot, so it is a small lot. And this house takes up most of it. I could have done a second floor, and I was thinking about it, but stairs in The Sims is so hard. They take up so much space, and you still want it to look realistic in a game sense, but then at the same time you also do want it to look visually appealing. So I just decided to just keep it all on one floor. If I were to actually play The Sims, I would definitely play in this type of style house. I've said this before, but I do like one-story builds. I don't necessarily enjoy two-story builds. I do sometimes, depending on how large the family is, but when I start off with one sim, I usually start them off with just a ground floor, simple, and then the bigger that the family becomes, the bigger the house becomes, and I usually go up, because it's a lot easier to go up, rather than just stretch it out and make it just kind of looked a little disproportionate than what the base game of it was. And I really like the parents' bedroom. It's really muted and has this accent color of like this muted gray blue. And I actually use this color a lot. I didn't think that I liked blue. I actually don't buy that many blue things for my apartment. But I think that it just works really well in The Sims 4. They've created such a really large scale and plethora of colors for blue that I think you can almost make any of them work. Like here I'm using, I think it's Glamour Stuff bed and dresser, and the nightstands I think are from Fitness Stuff. The rug is base game, but they just have these like warm muted blues that I really love, and I would definitely buy in real life if I could. And I think one of the hardest parts of this build for me was picking out curtains. Like these curtains are from, I believe, My First Pet stuff. And while they work for this build, because it is such a tiny window, I'm really hoping that I see some of those 350 new swatches that we're getting within curtains, because we have so many bland colored curtains. If it's not bland, it's like super patterned and colorful and makes no sense. And I'm really waiting to see what things they actually choose to do more swatches of. If you look at the base game couches that I pick, you know, those have, I think, 20 swatches, 15 to 20 swatches. They have a lot, and they're all really gorgeous and beautiful, and they work. But then our curtains have like 3 swatches, you know. And then we also have our floors and our wallpapers that I think need new swatches. It's just very hard to pick a floor and wall that work together and don't all look the same. Like if I were to build on my own free time and use it for my own gameplay and not showcase it, I would use a lot of the same basic wall that we get with base game that comes with crown molding on the top that's white. I use that all the time. But when I'm building for YouTube, I really don't want to keep using it just because I want to kind of explore and see what else I can make with all the different objects that we have. And the girls' bedroom was actually something that I knew that I was going to do for the entire house. I knew I wanted to use this bed. I knew I wanted to use the same, I think it's the office desk, the same. I really love the way that they work together. The wood tones match, and I really was inspired by a room that I had saw on, I think, Pinterest. So I decided to put something together that I can match up here. And then the boys' room was kind of a play off of that. Maybe at one point or another they used to share a room when they were the same age, and maybe it made more sense because they both have orange inside of their rooms. They have a little bit of blue, a little bit of, I think, yellow. So I think that at one point they used to share a room when she was a little bit younger. And she's kind of brought some of those accents inside of her new room now that she has her own. And definitely her brother is stuck with a lot of the stuff that they had. And there's a lot of really great orange elements in this build. I would say that most of the colors that I use for this build would be probably beige, a lot of beige, black and white, blue, and possibly some darker woods and black. I think that those colors don't even sound like they go together, like blue with orange, like what? But they look really nice. I think that when I create these family households, I really enjoy having the parents' bedroom match kind of like the interior furniture of the living room and the kitchen and things like that, and even the bathroom. But when it comes to kids' rooms, I just throw color at it, and it comes together so nicely, and it works really well together. So I put a lot of clutter in the son's room here. He has a lot of sports memorabilia, as well as kind of imagination skill building things inside of his room so he can play and have friends over. I really like the way his room came out. I haven't built a boys' kids' room in a long time. So I think that this works really well together. The bathroom is a little bit basic. I use this shower that came with, I think it came with Jungle Adventure. I think it did. And I use some Parenthood counters. These are the counters that I end up putting in the kitchen too. It just works a lot better. I think that they did a really great job with, yeah, see, here I am changing them. It came really well together when they were creating it. I think that they did something that is very popular right now and a lot of people have. And it just works for this build, I think. It looks like something that you would see in a home and garden magazine or something like that. And I really like the table and chairs that I picked for the dining room. The dining room is in the kitchen, but I think that the table is from Cats and Dogs, or I think it's from Parenthood, and the chairs are from Cats and Dogs. And I really love the swatches that I use. I use this like white, light blue swatch to match the rest of the house. And here I am putting a little bit of clutter inside of the bathroom. Bathroom is neat clutter, and I think that that would be a really great stuff pack for us to get, bathroom and kitchen stuff. I know we already have the kitchen stuff one, but everything in that pack was so modern that obviously not everybody's kitchen and bathroom look like that, so I would say that we definitely need some more bathroom things. And I always put a toothbrush holder and a soap dispenser in my bathrooms, just to give it that realistic look of that people live there and they use things in that bathroom. It's not just like a sterile room with a toilet and a shower and a sink. I actually end up switching this chair in the office off camera when I had to place it in a different lot for the screenshots because it was fall and everything looked really ugly. I took it to a different save file that I have that's stuck in Spring, and like a lot of the stuff deleted. So when you do download this house, I would highly suggest to have BB Move Objects on. Just type it in before you download it. You don't want anything to be out of place or that you have to add. I had to add in sinks, which I didn't realize. I didn't know why I had to, but if you guys do download it, make sure you put that in first, just so you don't have to deal with that mishap and have to do it yourself. But I ended up putting a different chair for that, and I think it works actually a little bit better. So the parents' bedroom is really kind of bland, but I kind of like it. I'm very much into the style of modern and industrial. I really like it, and I love the paintings that I picked for it. And I just put that black wall, I think it's a wall decor item, inside of the bathroom. I think it worked a lot better in there. And just put a little bit of knives and pots and pans, and here I am trying to put this book. I think it's actually a framed book. I think you get it from the writing career, or a best-selling author, I think. I would say that many of the packs that I used in this build would have to be Parenthood and Cats and Dogs and maybe Glamour stuff. And a little bit of City Living and Seasons. I do a little bit of everything. I try not to stick with one pack. I could definitely do a base game build once the 350 swatches come out. I think that that is going to change the game by far. I'm not sure when we're going to get the patch, but it has to be before we get the next expansion game or stuff pack. Which I actually think that the newest, I don't know if it's going to be an expansion or a game pack. It would make more sense that it's an expansion because the last one we just got was a game pack. Is that Island Paradise, which I'm really excited for. I didn't think that they were going to go that route, but I'm kind of glad that they did. Although I did want University Life a lot, I'm willing to wait if it means that it's going to be an expansion. I don't know if they could execute it well enough if they did it into a game pack. University Life has always been an expansion for The Sims, so for them to shorten it to a game pack I think would be a little bit weird. But now that, you know, The Sims 4 only can be used by 64-bit computers, maybe they can make them bigger. I have no idea. We'll have to see, and we'll have to wait and find out for EA Play, which I think is actually coming up in a few days, so definitely have to see the live stream of that. And in here I use this orange wallpaper that we got with, I think it's Base Game? Yeah, it's Base Game. And I use it in orange. I was going to use it in black, but I figured it's a kid's room and black is like a really dark, morbid color. And while it works for some rooms, I think for this one it definitely needed some color. And it's so 70s and like fresh and new. And I paired it with another Base Game wallpaper that we actually got recolors with a patch. But I ended up actually deleting these posters, yeah, and putting in a new, just some skateboards and things like that. I think they look a little bit better. It also shows that the child is growing kind of towards teenager, like preteen area. So I think that they're both borderline. I think they might be like 2-3 years apart. So they're pretty close in age. And I actually do use a lot of kids' room stuff. I'm just realizing that right now. I don't think it make or breaks the room. You can definitely switch it out with other things that we have. But in terms of Base Game, we don't really have a lot of things for children to do. So it's understandable why they would make it a stuff pack. And it's a really good one to have. I think that it adds a lot of dimension to your rooms, even if you don't play and you don't use the objects. It gives the children something else to do rather than just read a book or play with toys. And I love putting plants inside children's rooms, even though in real life I can't imagine a child taking care of any, or not at least knocking it over. So maybe we can imagine that this is just a fake plant that they have in the room. I just needed something to fill up that space and it was the perfect size. And here I am sizing up a dog toy that they actually gave us a swatch that looks like a soccer ball. So if you size it up, it actually looks like a soccer ball. I forget who I saw do it first, but I know I've seen somebody do it and I've been doing it ever since. It's such a great idea. I think that so many people play the game so differently, and that when we combined ideas and look at each other's work, I think we can get so many amazing ideas, things that I would never come up with. But I think that it's a really great community to even just look at what other people make. And I use these outdoor plants that came with Get to Work. And I really like them because they are so symmetrical, yet they're a little bushy and don't really look like a perfect round edge. So I put them in the front just because there was not enough porch space to put like a chair and a table and things like that. So I just stuck with that, and I think it actually makes it look really symmetrical in the front of the house. And here I am trying to get everything super straight. When I'm doing living rooms with couches and TVs, I don't like to do the same thing twice, but sometimes I have to. And just because at the moment I'm like, it's just going to work better this way. But I'm always like going on top view and trying to edit it and trying to fix it and make sure it's straight and it makes sense. And you'll never see it crooked, I promise. And here I am putting things inside of the bookshelf. You know me, I have to have something in the bookshelf. It only makes sense to me that there would be clutter inside bookshelves. I always have things in my bookshelves other than books, so I really like doing that. It makes it feel really authentic. And I pair the dresser with a Jungle Adventure mirror. I do it a lot. I use that Jungle Adventure mirror all the time. I love it. It comes in so many great swatches. It works. It leans up against it's just the perfect size that if you put a dresser in front of it, it looks like it's actually connected to one another. And I put some plants in the office. There's actually a lot of plants inside of this build, which I'm just realizing. I like to do it. It makes it feel like home, especially me who has 1,000 plants. So if a house doesn't have plants, I'm just like, okay, it's all right, but it could definitely be spruced up with some plants. So that's what I do for this build. And there's a lot in the office. I just realizing that now. And I put that little magazine book holder from Parenthood. I use that item a lot. I think that it's a really great piece and it fits with a lot of different styles, even though the swatches are pretty simple. I think that it works just as good. Paintings are always the hardest thing for me to kind of put up. I've seen the same paintings for so long. I'm so tired of them. I want some new pieces. But actually, I realized that if you search paintings in the gallery, just type in paintings, people have actually taken pictures of objects and other things and made their painting high-level sims do a bunch of different stuff, and then they just kind of upload it as a room onto the gallery. So there's so many people who have their sims who are high in photography, high in painting, actually take pictures around the world, and it's actually considered not CC, it's base game, because you're using base game objects to create these different styles of paintings and wall decor. So in my next build that I do, I actually go in there and show you guys how to look it up. Just because, you know, I know what it's like to just kind of stare at the same paintings over and over again, and it gets kind of boring. It's hard, you know, and I think if I would have realized this when I made this build, which was 4 or 5 months ago, it definitely would have helped me out a lot. I would have used certain pieces. And here I am outside doing some like outdoor seating area for the Sims, because I do end up putting a pool in this build, which I think really fit the rest of the backyard. The backyard was really small for me to do anything else, so I think that by having a pool, it made a difference with the build. And I use a pretty basic shape, but I think it works with the house. It gives it that symmetrical vibe, and I put some black flooring to match the patio. And I also give them a diving board, which ends up making me change up the flow of things. So I put a fence around, and that fence is from Get to Work. It's a really great outline fence. We also got some with Strangerville, but it's a little thicker. This one is super thin, so this one works with a lot of different builds. I highly recommend to Get to Work. And I just do a little bit of quick landscaping to show you guys what I tried to do. I try to match it up with the surrounding area so it looks cohesive with the build. But honestly, these trees are base game, so you could take this to Willow Creek and it would work just fine. Yeah, I must have been really lazy with the landscaping, because I just size up these big bushes, which are really pretty. I think that they work for a lot of different builds. And I put some of these flowers and I think a lot of base game landscaping here. It's not very much different game packs and stuff packs. It's very much base game. Yeah, and I think that, yeah, I just put a couple more things and tidy it up a little with the landscaping. But other than that, I really hope you guys enjoyed this build. You guys can definitely download it on my Origin. My ID again is LivSimBuild7. It's a long one, but it's definitely worth it. I have a bunch of my other builds on there, especially ones that I haven't made a video yet for, so you guys can get an inside little look at different builds that I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you.